so pleased that you could all make this journey with me through the YouTubian galaxy. We are departing soon, so please come in and take a seat. And of course, say hi to our pilot Pete. Sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. Turbulence is to be expected, and for some can cause severe anxiety. In case of such an emergency, look above your head, or you will see an oxygen mask. Upon pushing the red panic button to the left, the mask will drop down. Please place it over your nose and mouth and breathe until calm. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last check before takeoff. Please make sure all loose items are secure. Please make sure that your seat belts are fastened tightly. If you feel that you have boarded this aircraft and are not supposed to be here or have changed your mind, now is the time to get off. Refreshments will be served soon. Please sit back and enjoy the trip. And again, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up. Hey, Fried Green Tomatoes. Hey, Justin. Love you. Love you, Justin. Susan. Hey, Terry. I'm glad you came back today. Sorry you left yesterday. Hey, Wee Scottish Mom and Linda. Crazy Chicken Lady. Wee Scottish Ma. I did not text Eve. Eve, I'm very sorry. The mouse. Hey, the mouse. I got your email. Lucy Cat. All right, you guys. Susan. Hey. Thanks to all of you, I finally hit 700 subscribers. Can you guys believe that? Look, when I started doing this, I didn't think I'd have 3 subscribers. And now I'm up to 700. Terry and A1 Way Street, let me know in comments. I didn't know it until they told me. But it's because of all of you, okay? Not anything I'm doing. It's you guys. And I appreciate that so much. Oh, okay, Terry. All right. Let me put this out here about chat, okay? Thank you, Susan. I try not to be disrespectful to anybody in chat. And I do joke around with y'all because that's just the type of person I am. But when people come into chat and they kind of start arguing about what transpired in chat on a different channel, I have to say something about that, okay? Please, please, if you have problems with anybody in my chat from a different channel, we don't necessarily have to know it over here, okay? Just thought I'd put that out there for y'all. Okay. Thank you, Exploited Innocents. Are you working today? Well, today, hey, Nana for Life. I don't even know where to start today. Dawn and Candace Wells has played a game with everybody, and we're tired of it. People have given 1,000% on trying to find out what happened to Summer Moon Utah Wells. And the whole time, what have we heard? What have we heard? We've heard all about Dawn's life. We've heard some of Candace's life that she felt she needed to share. And not that I do not have any empathy or sympathy for what people have gone through when they were younger. I don't get the fact that they're telling us these things. Hey, AC, they're telling us these things, especially Dawn, like we should believe what he's saying because he grew up in such a dysfunctional family. And honestly, you guys, by the time I was done listening to that shit yesterday, I really was sick to my stomach. I'm trying to figure out what happened with Dawn that made him take that direction, that he felt the need to say some of the things he said, especially about Mary's husband and things like that. Because this was my opinion, you guys. This is my opinion. We don't know if that really happened, but that has nothing to do with Summer. And I was kind of trying to explain that yesterday when I was talking about it. And even with Jeannie, it's understandable where people are saying that has nothing to do with Summer. And possibly it doesn't. But it gave us an idea of the things that Don Wells had done, even if he was younger. And look, Don can tell us stuff until he's blue in the face. But nothing will change the fact, Mr. Wells, that what you are saying has nothing to do with your daughter. Why do you want us to pity you so much? Is it the money? Is that what it is? The money? Have pity for me. This is the way I grew up. I talked about things that I went through when I was younger, but you know what? I don't expect people to have pity for me over it. I expect them to understand and be kind about it because it's my truth and what I went through. But I'm not on here to have people sympathize with me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying things wrong. Hey, Toaster. But no, I appreciate you all so much. I always hoped that the things that I talked about and the notes that I had concerning Summer's case were spot on. Some things, of course, are in my opinion. You guys do know my channel, Opinions and Theories with No Repercussions. I try to abide by that on this channel. You guys know I like to commentate on things, and if it's a little bit educational, then thumbs up on that. There's always a trigger warning on my channel, always. It will be here for a long time, okay? And, of course, fair use. Okay, I had talked before about emotional incest. And I'm just going to go over a little bit today, not as to the extent I did. I have it on another live. But it's a type of emotional parental abuse. This is what I believe in my heart was happening, and this is my opinion, was happening between Summer and Dawn. Hey, Benita, lip lock, I love you. Okay, you can get that out of your head. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, lip lock. I'm not a singer. So, what they do is the parents rely on the children for significant emotional support. So it's kind of like a role reversal, right? So you've got this role reversal where and I just see this in my mind because of things that Dawn has said. Where Dawn, and this is my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion. Dawn would say things to Summer like, your mom this and your mom that. And, you know, I just feel he um maybe downgraded Candace to Summer a lot, saying things that would make her only want Dawn, only want Dawn. So it's more than just relying on your kids on occasion. Rather, it's an extreme dependence on them. Parents who commit emotional incest treat their children like a spouse or a best friend rather than a child. Ding, ding, ding. Red flag right there. Right there. Thank you, Lip Lock. Um, we've heard Dawn talk about Summer in so many different ways. And if you wouldn't have known that Dawn was talking about his little daughter, you would have thought he was talking about an adult woman. My opinion. Okay. Some of the things he was saying was really odd to a lot of us because me personally, I've never ever heard a man speak of their daughters that way. Sure, they love them, but not with some of the things that Dawn was saying. Excuse me, I gotta shut my door as usual. Oh my goodness. All right, let's put you over here. I try to leave my door open a little bit so the cat can come in and out or the dog can come in and out. That's just how I roll over here. So we know the things that Donna said. So, yes, they treat their children or child like a spouse or a best friend. These parents turn to their children for comfort, love, advice, support, and in some cases, trigger warning, even romance. And I need to stop here for a minute because I hope Eve is all right. I'm going to text her real quick, you guys. So I apologize. Just a minute. Because she's usually maybe she didn't get the notification. I just texted her, and so I apologize, Eve. Usually I text her before I go live. But like I said, maybe she didn't get the notification. I just hope she's okay. It's not that she's not here, because my mods come and go as they want. They don't have to be here every time. But okay. So, hey Canadian Cookie. So they turn to the children for comfort, love, advice, support, and in some cases, even romance. Now you have to remember that emotional incest is not a not intended as anything sexual, right? But yes, in some cases, even romance. The emotional incestuous parent is unable to provide for the child's needs and does not give them the support and nurturance that they need. This, in my opinion, is very true. The child becomes like a parent or a spouse, which is usually more than they can handle. Parents who commit emotional incest often don't have a healthy support system. Now, I'm not talking about just Dawn here, okay? I'm talking about Candace. Candace also can fit into this category. They may be single divorcees or in an unhappy marriage. How many times did we hear Dawn allegedly going to leave Candace? Okay. And Kathy showed the paperwork that Candace was going to file for divorce. Okay. So they've shown us so much dysfunction, you guys. So much dysfunction in this family. Neither Dawn nor Candace, in my opinion, had a healthy support system. And when their daughter went missing, what was the big thing to them? What was the most what is the most thing that they wanted when Summer went missing? Was it to find their daughter? Or was it to make friends? Making friends was very important to them, wasn't it? And then when they would make friends that only wanted to know about their daughter, guess what? They'd get pissed off, wouldn't they? They would get really mad because they just believed that these friendships were more important, in my opinion, than their daughter, than finding their daughter. I remember watching a video. I think I played it somewhere on my channel. Candace was drunk. Dawn was lit like a firecracker. And they were more upset. Candace was more upset on that live about her friend losing her friend, Jenna. She was very upset when Jenna wasn't her friend anymore, right? And then at the very end, she held up this picture, I think, of, hey, Eve, I love you, girl. Don't be mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Eve. I love you. I love you, Eve. I really do. Dawn had to remind Candace to be sad for summer. Yeah, it seemed like that, didn't it, Mrs. Peacock? So, anyhow, it's more than a child can handle for a parent to communicate with them like they're an adult. So, we know they didn't have a support system. The families may be dealing with addiction or mental illness. Wow. Guess what? That family's dealing with addictions, aren't they? I can't say if there's mental illness there, but I could probably, in my opinion, bet a little bit of money that it's there. It is there somewhere. Children may end children may end up having anxiety, depression, and relationship problems, eating disorders, or sexual dysfunction issues, low self-esteem, and perfectionism. That's after a child gets older. It can also, thank you, Laura. Welcome, welcome. It can also cause problems with the other parent and siblings who may feel resentful of the relationship between parent and child. Excuse me one moment. Sorry, you guys. Todd was calling me to write down a date for my car to go in the shop. Yeah, welcome, welcome, Laura. So, where was I? Leave it to a man to disrupt my conversation here. Okay. So we know that their marriage was unhappy. Um, we can't really say, I can't say that the kids were depressed or had anxiety or anything like that because I don't know. And I get a little frustrated when I kind of hear people saying that the boys had all these issues and things like that because we don't know, you guys. We do not know. So, okay, it can cause problems with the other parent or the other siblings. We know for a fact Dawn talked about taking Summer to the store by herself. And the boys understood, right? The boys understood why Daddy would take their sister by herself and buy her things. He never talked about taking the boys individually places and buying them things, did he? Well, what he at first exploited, he said that the boys weren't jealous, that they were okay of it. So if he's changed his mind and said the boys got jealous, at first he was trying to say that they understood is what he was trying to say at the beginning. So when these children get older, they struggle emotionally and in relationships with others. This is very interesting here. So victims of EI, I'll call it, learn that their primary role is serving the need of the parent. I have been following Summer from the beginning, but only a few channels I can watch. Can't handle the BS, but I found remain. I just love how down to earth you are. And this is the first time. Aw, thank you, Vanita. We do try to keep things level headed around here. I get feisty sometimes, and my chat does too. But yes. And Eve is, Eve, Miss Eve is my main moderator. And she is just the nicest person in the whole world. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, guys. Not to change the subject, but when I found out I had 700 subscribers, I got really teary. I did. I got really teary about it. I agree he did not at the beginning, and then on another Chesney, he said the boys were jealous, but they understood Summer could take care of herself with the boys, not word for word. He probably did. He's always switching it up, isn't he? So, this is just my opinion where EI is concerned. He said things like, and I'll pull this up to show you guys exactly. I know exactly where he talked about this stuff was when he was having a conversation with Chris McDonough. But it just felt like the way that he was talking was Summer was doing everything that she could to please him. To please him. Hey, Danny and Lisa. This is the thing about it. We heard him say things like, well, I'll pull him up here in a minute. So that is a very unhealthy dynamic. The adult expects the child to provide them with emotional needs, which should be the other way around. And look, EI can also happen between like adult caregivers, grandparents, coaches, different things like that. Totally different things like that. I am popping through my notes here. I don't know if I've got Chris. I would rather do this looking at my notes and not pulling up the video, but I may have to. But we go back and we listen to what Donwell's statements about Summer have been. She only loved me. She only wanted me. I never could understand how it just did something to my heart. And I wanted to mention, not going off topic here, the non-disclosure agreement that they allegedly made people sign when they went up on that hill. Why? What were you guys trying to hide? What were you trying to hide that you felt you needed a non-disclosure agreement? Dawn and Candace have both bullshitted their way through the YouTube street. People have just hung on every freaking word that this horrible, in my opinion, horrible, horrible human being has said. Why is that? How did Don and Tim Mullins become BFFs within a short period of time? they made a mockery out of Summer's case, in my opinion. I know people bring up the cornbread mafia a lot. I will repeat what I've said 1,000 times about that. Don and Candace did not bring up the cornbread mafia. The behavioral panel did. But people took off with talking about the cornbread mafia. Don was speaking about these good old boys and them good old boys and problems, of course, with different jurisdictions in the mountains. It happens. Don talks about trigger warning, trafficking a lot. Hey, one way street. You're fine, honey. You're fine. Why have they done this? Did you hear Don say on shares when asked how long he had been attending the church? He said 5 or 6 years. To me, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, Robin said it was only, what, a year and a half? Also, I don't think a lot of people realize that, and I'll say this is hearsay, okay? Because I hadn't really dug into David Dotson a lot, but there was a report, I will say, where they talked about a church. There was a church, a SDA church in another state that had been burnt, that had burnt down. And allegedly, David Dotson and Don could have been connected somehow with that, going to work at that church, I'll say. Well, you know what? This is what gets me, Danny. Why they all lying about how long they knew each other? And that's the problem. If you're going to write a script for anything, it's going to be a really messed up movie if you can't get the script right to start with. Eve, are you okay today, honey? When a crime happens, they all disperse. Well, it was talked about also that, look, Don and Candace left state, didn't they? They left state, and then right after they left state, guess what happened? Fred got busted. Yeah, Nano for life. I heard people who said they never signed one. I think Cam and Allie said they never signed one either. I just never got what the whole purpose of that was. Do you, Nana, do you think that was something Tim Mullins came up with? Or do you think it was the uppers? We don't know exactly what their drug screens came up positive for. Okay, Lip Luck. We don't know. We know what they've said, but absolutely, yeah, that's what I thought. That was more of a Tim Mullins kind of thing. I don't understand why Don gave Tim Mullins such a right to do things the way that he has. Tim Mullet. Is he a new Muppet? We'll call him a new Muppet. Tim Mullet. He's a new Muppet. He's the leader of Sesame Street. And it was really weird. I kind of caught Justin a little bit last night and Dawn talking about the vehicle. It's like, Dawn, number one, you would do one interview and say that the dungeon door was locked. Then it was unlocked. Okay. You, who were not there that day, decided that you were going to be the main spokesman for your family. Nerdy was there with the drone and Don got one. I don't understand that, you guys. I never understood how Dawn could sit and talk about, I talked to Candace all the way home. I don't know how. It was really weird. And I'll get into that a little bit more as soon as I pull up these notes. Where Dawn's talking to Chris McDonough. So okay, Summer goes missing. She could have walked off. She could have been taken off the property. It could have been planned. And excuse me for saying this, she could have been sold, trafficked. We heard Reverend Donna talk about a certain kind of film, an accident. Dawn talked about the mafia, which was ridiculous in my opinion. We could also look at the church, Robin Lane, David Dodson. A text that H says he's seen on a phone saying it's done. We know Grandma left soon after. Dawn Wells and Candace Bly Wells. If you believe that your daughter was abducted, however you want to put it, abducted, kidnapped, however you want to put it, why would both of you not think twice about asking people to come up on the hill with their children? Not just for a visit, Dawn. You were offering women to come up on that hill with their children. And these were women who did not have husbands, right, Dawn? And you didn't think twice about that. Didn't think twice about that. Why? Candace tells Cam and Allie, oh, bring your kids. Bring your kids. They can play down in the dungeon. They'll be all right. But your daughter allegedly was abducted from that dungeon. See the interview that David Dawson did on TikTok. I thought it was strange. That was about a year ago. Mrs. Peacock, I've got one of my lives, and I off top of my head can't. Oh, it's called the interview that Unmasked did with David Dodson. It's in the title. It's very interesting. One of the main things that interested me about what David Dodson said was I was standing there when Lucy Cat, you crack me up. Girl, you're a mod for me. You don't even follow my channel. Girl. But anywho, when David Dodson said he was standing there when Candace showed law enforcement a video of all the kids swimming that day. All the kids swimming that day. Why would David Dotson need to make that up? I don't get it. If you ask Dawn, everybody's a liar but Dawn. I'm glad you were talking about what you did at the start of this. I have said that before. No one seemed to hear. That needed talked about. Oh, Mrs. Peacock, you're talking about when JLR and them went to David Dodson's house and his daughter was talking. I showed a little bit of that too, but she's got you blocked. Well, not on here, Nana. Not on here, Nana. We love you over here. We love everybody over here. Most times, anyway. We know the tree trimmers were working in the area. At first, some people blame the tree trimmers. Don talked about the dogs. He said they were Pussies's. Okay, Mrs. Peacock. Trev Time was looking to watch that video with David Dotson. Yeah, exploited. It's on there in the title. The title says exactly what it is. If he can handle my commentating on it, because I'm pretty sure I commentated on it. But Don automatically had a reason why the dogs allegedly didn't react to anyone being on the hill. Well, what she means by that, a one-way street, and this is just my opinion on that. If the dogs were all gone, where'd they go? The dogs were all gone on the day Summer went missing. Where did they all go? No, you're fine, a one-way street. You're fine. Where did, as David Dotson said, a herd of dogs, which was kind of funny. I've never heard a group of dogs being called a herd, but that's okay. All right. A herd of dogs disappeared not only off of the prop, we're talking about 11 and a half acres. 11 and a half acres. These dogs all just disappeared. Why? We know that the properties, the different homes and stuff. Well, I can see that crazy chicken lady. I could see if Summer walked off that a few of the dogs may have went, but why would they all go? Yeah, there were dogs there, Danny. You're right, when law enforcement showed up. Yeah, they could have been anywhere exploited. Oh, I'm sorry, Toaster. Yeah, they could have been anywhere. I have slaves wondered why did they come back allegedly smelling like hay? Huh. I had another story about the dogs from a community post. Some say a couple was making in the woods, and I'm not talking about Fred and Laura. Yeah, I heard that also, Mrs. Peacock. I heard that also. And I also heard something about a child in that story. those dogs weren't out in a field that day. Candace allegedly, and I'll say allegedly, wasn't that upset. You free emotional vampires is also a word, that type of behavior. I agree, Teresa. I agree. And it seems like Don and Candace definitely seem like emotional vampires, don't they? My writing about Don Wells, not patting myself on the back, but when I wrote that, I spoke from the heart, and I said that what he was doing was coming on different female YouTube channels, and Don knew that he could get mothers to feel some type of way about him. She would have had to walk off in 2 minutes. No evidence that she did walk off. Pregnant dog under the house. They searched and believed she was there. They would have found her in the woods. Absolutely, Justin. Absolutely. Oh, they did find 2 other children recently in Hawkins County area in the woods. And this is going to sound weird to everybody, but when you're talking about, we're not talking about a city road where you don't have any hills and you can walk 10 miles on flat land. We're talking about the Appalachian Mountains. We're talking about a little girl who didn't have shoes on. That when she was walking, she wasn't walking on flat land. We're talking hills, curves, fields, woods, creeks. And they searched and searched and searched. And I said it 1,000 times. She had no shoes on. It got dark. Don says, I used to scare her all the time to make her afraid of the woods and stuff. Do you guys really think that Summer was in the woods? Do you think she wandered away from home? And that all these searchers were calling for her and she wouldn't have answered? Thank you, Lisa. And then what's Don say? Oh, I knew she was taken. I knew right away she was taken. Don, just like he did with Candace, he wanted to make Candace out to be this terrific mother. What did Candace do? Immediately start talking about Don being a great father. He was a great provider. Really, Candace? Children are going to take the path of least resistance. They are not going to exert so much energy to climb straight up a mountain. I agree. I agree, Justin. You think she was in the woods, but think she was there because she wasn't there because she wandered away. This may sound crazy to y'all what I'm about to say. And I am not saying this is what happened with Summer. Absolutely not. This is just info to put out there, and it may sound crazy. There's people who actually live up in the mountains, and they may live 5 miles back. They may live 10 miles back. They may, certain members of their family, maybe not even went into town. They strictly lived in their home in the mountains. Children are born not only in mountain regions, but also in cities that do not have a birth certificate. They don't have a birth certificate. You also have people in the mountains. Oh, shit. You also have people in the mountains that it comes to a situation where they need a girl, okay, that is going to be able to clean, cook, maybe take care of grandma, maybe something's wrong with mom. That does happen. It happens. We don't hear about it often, but you can actually Google situations like that, and you'll definitely see where that has happened. But there are so many children, more than we would ever think about, born that do not have birth certificates. You still think a neighbor snatched her? I know, Nana. I know. And so then we can kind of get into the substances, I'll call them, the math. We'll call it math. Yeah, the feral people. Absolutely, Lisa. We've also heard of instances, and you guys, I don't want you guys to think that I talk about these things so easily, because even talking about them, makes me feel some type of way to even have these conversations with you guys, right? Um, you get into the math manufacturers, and of course, these people are out in the woods. They're watching everything that's going on around them. They want, they want to make sure that no one's coming up on them or anything like that. But if you think that there are people who do not give their children to those type of people for drugs, you're absolutely mistaken. Absolutely mistaken. Well, we're not talking about inbreds, a one-way street. You can be considered a feral person without having to be, per se, inbred like that. But we have so many situations. No, Lisa. Lucy Cat, you're fine, you gooberhead. Lucy Cat. I love you, girl. I'm picking on you. Lucy Cat, I love you, girl. You're so silly. We all love you, girl. I'm just picking at you. If I wasn't picking at you, I wouldn't love you. You know that. I have been worried about you, though. They live way back in the mountains and do have female. Well, yeah. And there's also individuals. There's also individuals. Hey, Lily. These people will go out into the woods and they will dig a bunker. And there's a lot of cases that will you know, it will end up being that these, I don't even know how, what to even call them, but they will dig bunkers out in the middle of the woods. And even when searchers and all the search dogs and everything, they will walk right over the top of these people. And there's a case, and I can't remember the name of it, so excuse me for it. But yes, definition of feral manoon, a person who is not socialized. Exactly. Thank you, Liplock. They're not socialized people. They stay, in their own situation. It's very very scary. Some of them can be very, very scary. Wasn't there a local named Jamie who has a channel who talked about, I don't know, half human monsters in the woods? He would try to film them. This was way back in the beginning. No, you're fine, Liplock. Well, you can think of them as cult type, situations. Those math cooks, same mindset as old moonshiners. Oh, I don't. Well, I can see. I can see how you're saying that. That the mindset is kind of the same, where they have to watch their asses and shit. But I can, in my head, I don't see moonshiners uh, taking or accepting children for payment for their moonshine. Lawson said the search was 4 miles on every direction. And someone could walk anywhere down the mountain, but I can never walk back. And we have, look, when Summer's case first came out, there were a lot of individuals who, of course, are from the area or in lived in a mountainous region that came on and talked about it, right? Lily, you got the giggles? Okay. Thanks for letting me know that. I can't hear you. I can't hear you giggling. But thanks for letting me know you're giggling. A wild child, exactly, Liplock. There's also been stories of, an example too is a child who, and there's been more than one, right? That once there's been more than one story of this where a child was put out in a doghouse from the time that they were young children and left out there and treated like a dog. And one specific story I remember, the child ended up acting like a dog. They barked like a dog. They ate like a dog. Their mannerisms were the same as a dog because the dogs were her parent, basically. Specific name he called him. I just can't remember the guy, and his wife seemed nice. They liked hunting these types of things. They went really out there. Well, exploited innocence. My granddaddy, okay, we're Arkansanians, believe it or not. And he used to talk about seeing the Boggy Creek monster. Okay. The Boggy Creek monster is the same thing as Bigfoot. And Grandpa used to tell me stories about how he would see that in that area. I don't know, a one way street, something like that. But I don't think the one I'm talking about. She was chained out in the doghouse and left there for many years. Black Mass Paranormal Channel is pretty good. Yeah, Nell. Nell is a fantastic movie. I love that movie. That I've requested a couple different paranormal channels to maybe give us an idea of the area and stuff. And this is what I think happens. I think that with it being the topic of a child and not knowing what's actually happened, I think some people don't don't want to go there, if you know what I mean. Hey Brenda. Um yeah, I know that that they were in the area after Summer went missing. I don't know why you would want me to contact them. I know the situation where they were with Jeremy Dugan when he went to get H for Andrew. I don't know what other information that they would have. I know that Jeremy Dugan talked about a law enforcement personal vehicle being on the hill that day. But I don't mind contacting them. I don't know how they would have been first on the scene other than law enforcement, because how would they know to that Summer was even missing? So I don't understand that. Do you know the name he called these animals? All right, I'm lost on you guys talking about yeah, Brenda, I talked about that and uh yeah, yeah, I went over all that with Jeremy Dugan and him asking Baca to travel with him to extract H. Absolutely. I don't know if that's in the title where I talked about it. Um, all right. Also, I heard someone talking about, I don't know if I talked about this on my last live or not, where this creator was saying that something about Candace and them washing their hands. And Candace said that they washed their hands, then they went in the trailer. So I don't know where, you know, the whole washing of the hands became a big deal. I wondered, and Don answered that when it was being questioned at the very beginning. Um, Don answered that and said that yes, there was a gallon of water in the back of the truck that that they used to wash their hands. I'm still going through my notes trying to get where I need to be. I just read on my newsfeed Morgantown, West Virginia, found in Mexico, attempting to buy a girl. He's an RSO. The girl's 7 years old for 5,000. Trafficking is a disgusting, disgusting, disgusting topic. That's why I never really went into the whole situation on trafficking on my channel, because I would have to. I try to be really careful when I'm talking about trafficking. And we've also talked about women giving their child for money to someone for drugs or to pay a bill or try to feed their other kids. Um, I just showed you guys where a woman was chained. She was chained up in a room, and that chain was around her neck. Trigger warning, trigger warning. Yeah, I think I've seen that. A one-way street. What you're talking about? But why does Don think that we all should feel sorry for him? Everything that Don Wells has told us, in my opinion, has made us feel horrible, horrible for his children, not him. These searchers gave their heart to going and looking for a little girl. A little girl that, in my opinion, their mother and father decided, and this is my opinion, decided that their lives were more important to talk about than their own daughters. I agree, Lily. I agree. But Don wouldn't agree with that. Don would automatically believe that everybody else, everybody else is the bad guy. Everybody else is doing wrong. Everybody else, some other guy, some other guy. Don repeatedly talked about Jose, Jose, Jose. But Don didn't talk about Jose. Do you understand what I'm saying? Candace acted like she didn't even know who Jose was. She was like, "Oh, you mean that Mexican guy? Really? Freaking what? When is the truth? When is the truth ever gonna be told? by these adults who lie and tell all these stories, in my opinion, to cover up the nefarious shit that they were doing. It's sad to me. It's very sad. Don had Jose sleeping in his bedroom. Make that make sense? I don't know. You know how freaky they are. Okay, Lily. And I'm talking and I went right past the notes I was looking for. But every time you go to talk to Don about Summer, he will start a whole different topic about something else. He doesn't hardly ever say her name. You know, Jody Sue kept talking, oh, you know, the perfect storm, the perfect storm. They all want to tell these stories about the neglect and abuse that occurred right in front of their faces. But guess what? Did they do anything about it? They can say, oh, yeah, I called CPS. But did you really call CPS? I don't think it ever will. Even if they are arrested and charged in regards to Summer being gone, I don't think they will ever tell the truth. I don't either. But they're going to keep on, and this is my opinion. They are going to keep on and on and on with the bullshit because people are allowing them to do it for money. For money. And I know why Don talked about Nana's Angels the way he did. Because she called him, and it's on her live. She called him, oh, Don, I thought I'd see how you were doing. You know, and she put it on her live. She either did it live or she put it on a live. And I could tell by the way that Don was talking that he knew that's what was happening because he barely answered any of the questions. He really never even said a lot. But she had a conversation with him. But just like everybody else, didn't learn anything that made a difference with Summer being missing. I may have to pull my notes out of my bag here. All right. I just pulled up a conversation that Don had that I transcribed with Cher from Voices Behind the Wall. He was mad. And he said that when he was talking to Sissy, he was lonely. He needed a friend and was a little drunk. Before anybody knew about the Mafia $50,000 deal and them giving him substances, Don says who would give him all that money? And some have said, yes, the cartel would do something like that. And that amount comes into play with the film that Reverend Donna said that she's seen happening, right? That was along the same amount of money. So all these different amounts of money that kept coming out were amounts that Dawn and Candace were putting out there themselves. Remember the 80,000? Where did that get mentioned? It got mentioned when Candace did her little hoax phone call to Mary. Dawn says, who would give him all that money? And some have said, yes, the cartel would do something like that. Dawn called to see if Cher reported to TBI about this, saying he got called in and questioned about selling Summer for drugs. That's when he started telling the Knoxville story, the $2,000 little Knoxville run. Said he had money. He didn't do it because he had money. But then again, he didn't have any money to take care of what he needed to at home for the boys. He didn't have that money, right? Everybody else was giving it to him. Hey, Miss Justice. I would think they fronted dope. He did all and couldn't pay for it. That would be how that worked. A lot of people also say that that the mafia wouldn't do that. They wouldn't take a child over a grown adult owing them money for drugs. I think people have different opinions about that, for sure. But if that was the case, would you think that they would have taken a child and not did anything to the person who owed them the money? But Don loved Summer. Summer was his world. So that pulls into someone knowing exactly what Summer meant to him. We don't know what could have happened. Because we know Candace knew how much Summer meant to Dawn, right? I would think that they would hurt Dawn in some way. But Dawn had money to run around. Thank you, Brenda. I agree. I agree. So he says TBI is aware of his substance problem. The hoax call to Mary was done that same time because Candace and Dawn's support team were on this call saying that yes, the mafia would. Candace says Cher's very mean to her in this call, and she disrespected Candace. And Dawn's reaction, Dawn didn't care. Dawn didn't care who said what to Candace. Well, you can get arrested for dealing. That's the whole thing, Miss Justice. Was he lying about that? Because why would Dawn, he says they pretty much just slapped him on the hand and said, don't ever do that again. Oh, yeah, I agree, exploited. They would be making their money back somehow. They would be making their money back somehow. So there's who was Dawn and Candace's support team? Who really was their support team? YouTubers? Seriously. You think it's a bullshit story, Miss Justice? I don't understand why people didn't get angry that they were sending some of these people that were sending them money, you guys, didn't have money of their own for food and things like that. Anyone that'll listen. Exactly. Read an article concerning a light boy collecting a drug debt there. I don't know, funny face. We knew that Don was having other people write his statements, his letters to Summer, to the kidnappers. He wasn't writing those on his own. And Don's always got a big talk, right? Now, I'm not going to say this person's name because I will not dox this person, no matter how much people are trying to get a picture of this person or say her name. It ain't going to happen on my channel. So Don decided that he was going to make up stories to tell this person, right? He would make up some of the most outrageous stories and tell this creator. Don said he was only being nice to her because she said she was lonely. He called her an old effing bitch and can't understand why it gets all over the internet, stating she claimed that she was going to, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, you guys. I forgot this was even in my notes. These are Dawn's words, okay? I don't even know if I should repeat this. I don't know. He said that he gave her money and things like that. Dawn was crying, but it didn't seem to last long. Said he's been telling the truth from the beginning, but nobody believes him. Said he was the one who called CPS to let them know about the dangers at the home. Did you, Dawn? If I remember correctly, in the very beginning, Dawn told a story of Dawn told a story that there was fighting going on in the house at 110. And there were detectives, I guess, down on Beach Creek or something. And that it got so loud and out of hand that the detectives actually ran up the driveway to see what was going on. They think a lot of people's doxed her, but they've said a lot of different names. It's just the name that I have. Nobody said it yet. And I've always said this is just my opinion. The only reason someone would want to know what she looks like is to demean her in some way. That's the only reason I believe it's my opinion that someone would want to even know what she looks like or anything personal about her is to demean her. And I feel that way about a lot of people who are trying to get information on YouTubers or, creator subs all the way down. If you think that someone wants somebody's information, to pull this information up on them because they're wanting it for good reasons, it's my opinion that ain't what they want it for at all. Well, Cassie, hey Cassie. Oh, you just found this channel? Oh, thank you, Lip Lock. I adore Lip Lock too. I adore her. She has sent a few good people over here. She's just another channel creator who covers Summer's case. I don't need to know what she looked. Me neither, exploited innocence. I have no desire to tell people. I mean, I don't know anything about her. I just know what her name is just because I pay attention and write everything down. Um, but no, that's my opinion. That's the only reason that people would want to know what she looks like and things is to demean her, in some way. But you guys, this is just my opinion. You know, I've heard her do that to other people as well. So that's like a two-way street there. So anyhow, Don was saying that, he was giving her money and things like that. We don't know if that's true, you guys, at all. That's just Don. But I have a feeling that, hey, that girl. Well, I'm just talking that girl about people who want to pull up people's personal information. They're not doing it, in my opinion, out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it to demean somebody, in some sort of way. So many people were contacting Don, trying to get info like they knew he was guilty of stuff. Really, Don? How ding ding are you? Okay, I'm not even going to finish what he was saying about Sissy, but said he didn't owe money to the mafia and went to law enforcement himself to have them get Summer back. Now, do you guys remember the $20,000? So we had 80,000 mentioned, we had 50,000 mentioned, and now 20,000. When people were talking about these amounts of money, it was because these were the amount that Don kept talking about in his little stories. Excuse me, guys. But Don said that when he had his little conversations with a creator, that he had been up for days. And I heard Don say this quite a bit, that we were up for days. We were up for days. We were up for days. Kind of made me wonder what was helping you stay up for days. But he admitted to saying some things. He said he got to the point where he felt the questions that were being asked were stupid. He was getting the same questions over and over and over again. So he was just making things up, knowing that they were going to be talked about on YouTube. If Tim was a friend of Don before Summerwell's vanished, Tim has a large, high-powered drone and never used it. Files on homes to photograph. Yeah, that's what Tim does. At this time, Candace is in the background. She's intoxicated and crying, saying Sissy is a wannabe friend who called Candace a little hoe and bitch. Don not caring how anyone speaks to Candace. Don's admitted to being a Coca-Cola fan, right? Says that Sissy's giving him emotional support. Said he owes no one, has money in the bank, a full-time job, and had also gotten a loan from the bank for the Subaru. Even in the beginning, you guys, these YouTubers, they were threatening each other about talking to Don Wells. About talking to Don Wells. He talked a little bit about Ernie. I think we all know about Ernie's brother, Shelby Shell. Nothing that I'm going to get into on my channel. The drama channels got into all that. Don said, now these are Don's words, these aren't mine, okay? Talked about he got naked in a creator's DMs. Lord, why do I bring this stuff up that I ain't looked at in a long time? Jeezy Weezy. So he got naked in somebody's DMs. All right, that's as far as that conversation I'm going. I don't need to repeat nasty stuff that Don says about people. They even talked about the picture of Rose, Candace's sister, that was hanging in the house when Chris McDonough walked in. And Chris even said something about the picture. He was very kind about it. He was very kind about it. Don himself said Don himself pretty much showed us what type of person he was. And I'm sorry, but I believe that this is my opinion. He's a predator. Yeah, that rumor, Cassie, I think is more truer than what anybody realizes. For sure. But yet, look how Don Juan's sister about being locked up. Hang on, I'm not quite seeing what you said there, babe. Let me back you up here. Look how Candace was able to prank, Don's sister. I know. I showed that yesterday. She was literally crying so hard that she, and I'm like, how can someone do that and say they were acting? And that's why when I showed it, I talked about um, what, how did she prepare for that phone call? I think number one, it was obvious she had to have been doing something, drinking or whatever. I think she was crying for herself. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? I think Candace was crying for herself. If you get what I'm saying. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I promise, because I'm at an hour and 30 minutes already. I just talk too much, don't I, you guys? I'm a joker. I'm a toker. I'm a midnight smoker. I probably got that mixed up. Hadn't heard that song for a while. Oh, don't make me get in my bag. I may have to get it. Oh, here we go. I found it, y'all. When I transcribed the interview where Chris McDonough was speaking to Dawn, it was like 7 pages for me. 7 or 8 pages. All right. You get it right at the start. Okay, this was an interview that Chris McDonough had with Dawn. I'm going to look at chat here for a minute. I have always thought that this is going to end bad. Someone is going to really hurt someone in themselves. Absolutely, Cassie. You cannot go around accusing people and snitching on people and in the long run, somebody probably will get hurt. You have a missing child. Dot is sending and receiving nudes. Candace is setting up a meeting in Gatlinburg with a strange man while Equisearch is out looking for her daughter. Absolutely exploited. I think I just mentioned that yesterday. The little situation with Candace and a person that she did not even know. And this person knew that Summer was missing, but acted like he didn't even know that. Candace was going to go meet someone she did not even know. She was going to go meet that person in Gatlinburg because Gatlinburg is one of her favorite places to go. She loves going to Gatlinburg. That's what the text or messenger or whatever it was said, right? So what'd that show us right there? Candace wanted attention so bad that she did not ask these strange people that she allowed to come up on that hill anything about them. She didn't ask nothing about them. They didn't hesitate. And some look, I'm not talking about any specific YouTuber, okay? Some of these people didn't hesitate to put other individuals in harm's way at all. At all. If they could get content off of something, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who might have been on the receiving end of bad stuff. That wasn't, they didn't care about that. Yeah, I heard she brought home somebody from the dollar store. All right, we know that Dawn wasn't happy about the interview that Chris did with Candace. An example was Dawn being in the shed. Chris was joking when he talked about the shed. Um, Candace never even said anything about it. But when Dawn heard it, it pissed him off. What do you mean 1 month? Funny face. I don't know exactly what month it was off the top of my head when she did that. A very strange man who was supposedly. Well, that might have been a different man exploited than what I'm even talking about. Because this guy wasn't, this guy acted like he didn't even know that Summer was missing. Oh yeah, that's a different person than that you guys are talking about. Well, there's been funny business going on with these people since Summer went missing. For sure. For sure. So then we get into Don said he was a 40 minutes away working. Candace called, said he almost wrecked. He was desperate to get home. Said he was frustrated that law enforcement was not on the scene yet. Why has he changed that? Why has he changed that whole scenario? I think Don hates anybody who he feels has a little more education than he does. Yeah, because he hid in the shed when I think it was the marshals were looking for him or something. He hid in the shed. He said Candace doesn't lie to him. Said everyone is focusing on him and Candace. He tried to tell them from the beginning when police arrived at the house that Summer was not there. And he said law enforcement would not listen. If law enforcement would have listened to Dawn, who immediately, she's not here, she's not here, she's not here, okay? And Summer would have wandered into the woods. What do you think law enforcement was going to say? Hey, okay, we're not going to look for her. Her dad says she's not around here anywhere. Okay, A1 Way Street. Said he knew right away when he pulled up and not receiving another call from Candace saying that they had found her. He said he was on Messenger with Candace all the way home, right? If you're on the phone with her, he said she didn't call back and said that Candace didn't call him back and say, "Hey, I found her." But I thought you talked to Candace all the way there. Because at 6:09, Jody says Candace was at the end of the driveway and you were on the phone with her. He said he made it home about 30 minutes from Jonesboro. Beating all the police, he went to the bottom of the property, seeing everyone looking for her. He knew she was gone. Why did you go to the shed? You went right down to the shed area. That's what he said. He said, that's what I just read. Said he beat all the cops there. He went to the bottom of the property and seeing everyone looking for her, he knew she was gone. Summer doesn't go away from the house, ever. He knew right that second she was gone. He knew they were looking at the top of the hill, so he drove straight to the bottom. But Dawn, I've got a question for you. If you knew, how did you know that they were looking at the top of the hill if Candace never called you back and said she was found? Weird. Yeah, but on Messenger, you can make three-way calls on Messenger? Oh, well, I guess you can. I've heard the little tattletales doing the three-way call stuff, right? He knew they were looking at the top, so he drove straight to the bottom where there's a funky shed. He went down the hill by the creek in his four-wheel drive Subaru. He went straight down there to the creek and seen the boys down there. And the boys know not to travel alone, and they were together. Then he saw his neighbor, and his heart just sank. He knew she was gone, that someone took her. He said Summer wouldn't leave from around the house. The boys were straight down where the power lines were, walking around looking for Summer. Ellie then blocked all the roads, having called search teams with the belief that she was just lost in the woods. He said law enforcement wouldn't listen to him. She was taken. And of course, as within any missing child case, they're going to question the parents. But then it was said that Candace didn't even want to talk to law enforcement. Why not? Grandma was out talking to law enforcement. I don't know if this is true. This has just been said throughout this whole investigation, I guess we'll call it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I guess he said, I'll find out here in a minute. He just knew she was in somebody's car headed down the road. Law enforcement wouldn't listen to his theory. He felt lost and in shock. The police started coming in. Said he was going to take his car and look here and there. And being in shock, he didn't know which way to go. So he got to the road, and the search teams were bringing in their trailers and four-wheelers, which in turn bottlenecked Ben Hill and Beach Creek Road, and he couldn't get nowhere. And I will say this is my opinion, you guys. They put together that search very quickly. Very quickly. There were people on it. I think. So Don hung up with Candace, told her to call 911. Then he called 911. They allegedly transferred him to the other county. Record request says no call from Don Wells that day. Wow. I knew something was up with that, Justin. I knew it. I knew it. Because that's what Don said. He told Candace to call 911, and then he called 911. They don't really specify who called first, do they? I would have to go back and listen to them. But I always wondered why, not why, pardon me, who, who else called 911? Because for some reason, I just think somebody different called 911. So did they do the records we request for both counties? Yeah, she had allegedly left the hill twice that day. Because I guess with it being, if he was transferred to another county, then you're talking about it would be Hawkins County, right? We just keep catching him in lies. He said he probably didn't clarify on the phone to 911 that she was abducted because he wasn't sure at that time. But pulling up to the property, he knew she had been, and quickly came to that conclusion, but law enforcement still wouldn't listen. Said that he would try to scare the heck out of Summer about bears and wildlife to keep her on the property. But the neighbor said Summer was out everywhere that her brothers were. That girl said, I think one of the boys called. Just crazy. Then the weirdo said he called the actual office. So after he hung up, allegedly called 911, he called Candace back driving 90 miles an hour on the back roads and called Candace back talking the entire way. You got it there, Justin. I've always said there's something way, way off about that guy. And he just couldn't believe it, right? Don just couldn't believe that he talked to Candace that whole way. But then he contradicted himself when he said, when I knew Candace didn't call me back. That's what he said. When Candace didn't call me back and tell me they had found her, I knew she'd been taken. Wouldn't it depend on where his location was at the time? Candace should have been in Hawkins County. His would been county where his phone pinged. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, AC, because I was like, okay, we're talking about two different counties. Because when Dawn allegedly called leaving Jonesboro, right? So Dawn called the office. It's not an emergency, Dawn. Your daughter is missing. You or Candace wouldn't have service. Yet when Candace didn't call me back. Exactly, Justin. That's what he said. When Candace did not call me back. So right there, none of that whole conversation makes sense. Jonesboro is Washington County. Thank you, Eve. You guys, this is the honest to God's truth. It's not hard to ask for documents and things from law enforcement. Okay? You can get FOIA reports and different things like that. And JLR is excellent at getting paperwork. He knows exactly what to ask for. And I don't care what anybody says. This is my opinion. If Don, I have a feeling that when he talked to his boss and he talked to the other people that were working for the company, I believe that they were in one location and it wasn't at the house where Don was working that day. I have a feeling that they all met in a localized area, i.e., uh, Mr. Um, Tucker's home had a area where the vehicles for the employees to drive were in that area, because if he would have been working at a home and he was in front of the home he was working on and his daughter went missing, why didn't he put what he had out in the garage or leave it in the house and have it locked up? Do you guys honestly believed? Do you believe that these people that he worked for, and Richard Tucker was supposedly right there talking with him, that those people wouldn't have said, "Oh my gosh, your daughter's missing. Get your ass home. We will we will take your tools. We will make sure they're put up. We will do that for you, Dawn, so you can rush home because your daughter's missing." And guess what? He didn't do that. I had to get all my tools. I had to make sure that I got all my tools. It's a bitch to get for you. It's from Tennessee if you're not a resident. Although I just got a couple dogs yesterday as a friend visited and they gave her a couple dogs. You requested one from Ohio this morning, got it 3 hours later. I think a lot of, I think Hawkins County got to a point where they were tired of messing with people calling and stuff. For sure. Dawn said, so of course we knew of him scaring Summer because he said he would scare her. He said the dogs are stupid and would bark at nothing and would wander off for days, not knowing where they would go. They would come back beat up and hungry, and they were not around that day. That makes no sense to me. And that's why you probably heard Jody Sue say the dogs were the key. The dogs were the key. I agree with you, AC. I just do not think that maybe somebody drove up that hill. Now, I could see that if somebody drove up the hill, that could have transpired. But in my opinion, there's no way in hell that somebody would have come up there and hidden the bushes. And how would, this is a question I have, how would someone even know that Summer had went into the basement if the door was closed? You guys seen the window? What was it? You could see out, but you couldn't see in, right? If someone came in that basement and took her, how did they know she was there to start with? Hey, lady in red. Jonesboro is in Washington County. No records of Dawn calling 911 in Washington County. EMA called a non-emergency number, but why? Yeah, why? Why? How would you even look to find the number to call the non-emergency number? It doesn't make any sense. Definitely, Justin. If Summer went down in the dungeon, how would have anyone standing outside even known she went into the dungeon? I always thought she would have had to gone missing up the hill, not down towards the bottom. Too many people at the bottom. I've just been watching you the last week. Oh, thank you, Lady in Red. Well, I'm not really an investigator. I've just transcribed a lot of the interviews and stuff. So when I read what I transcribed, I can look at it so much more differently this way. Because when you're actually reading what these people are saying, you can really look at it in a total different way. But thank you for that. I feel like he called the sheriff's office instead of 911 because he thought it wouldn't be recorded. I love you guys. Let me tell you guys something. You guys are such an informational group. And I respect each and every one of you. Like, you just don't know how much I respect all you guys. The differences of opinions and the different theories and talking about it's just remarkable to me. If someone drove up the driveway, Candace and Grandma were outside fixing the brace. Exactly. They would have had to have seen someone come up there. Yeah, Justin, you went there. Justin said, if you've been to Ben Hill Road, you really know nobody took her. Don said they immediately didn't believe them because it was BS. Absolutely. Thank you, Liplock. You guys are going to make me get teary eyed. I did. I got really teary eyed when Terry sent me a little comment that I had made it to 700 subs. Honestly, you guys, it's because of you guys. It is definitely because of you all, which it is because of you all, of course. But you guys have made my channel exactly the way I wanted it to be. Of course, I'm low budget. I don't do the fancy intros and stuff. But it's you guys who come into my chat and up on my panel, and you guys respect each other so much, and we don't do the drama over here. Sure, I get a little feisty, and we like to make fun of some of the drama going on, but we really have the important conversations that we really need to have. But what if they weren't outside? That could have been a lie. They could have been inside getting high or something. We got to remember, right? Dawn said Candace wasn't drinking because she was always afraid she was going to pull over and get busted. But yet, in the same breath, what did he talk about? Uh, you know, Candace, she'd be drunk by the time I got home from work. Being high was normal on that hill. Surely others that knew the fam already knew that. Absolutely. And I've said this. If, and let me say this where it makes sense. If Dawn and Candace knew, say, pre-planned something, but didn't actually know how it was going to go down or the name of the person that was actually going to come and do it, what would happen when they take a lie detector test and they're asked, do you know who took your daughter? What would happen? No, right? She drank after 5:30. Lady in red. Then that's a bigger problem because they would be inside where the alleged abductor would be. Why lie? They could say they were inside and not say they were high. That's all right, Lady in Red. We like people who think out loud over here. We sure do. Don claims that he kept thinking 5:30, but the 911 call states 6:26 for the first call. No, I apologize. 6:23 the first call, 6:26 was the second call. But for some reason he kept thinking it was 5:30. Why? He never gave a reason why he kept thinking it was 5:30. Now, at first he said that they went to Hawkins County to do the lie detector test, and at that time, law enforcement took their phones. All correspondence had been deleted from 3:30 on for that day. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't think in my head that they only deleted the phones from 3:30 on that day. But then he said law enforcement gave them back the phones pretty quickly. And Don says they didn't look at the phones for a significant amount of time after they got them back. Yeah, that's what's weird to me, Justin. Why at 3 o'clock? Why from 3 o'clock on? I used to think she was high and Summer wandered off. Then I thought she was high and left Summer in the car sleeping, then hit her far back in the hollow. Now I think Dawn is involved. Well, I've thought that, and this is my opinion, Dawn's been involved from the get go. It is like a jigsaw puzzle. Well, see, Danny, that's what was said, um, that it was a sock that they gave to them for the dogs, but then she changed that story up. And I think I heard her say something like, do people really believe that I just gave a sock or something? It's like these people are making a joke about what transpired the day their daughter went missing. Why? Why would you make anything about this scenario a flippin' joke? Why would you do that? But we know that they did have to go to a different place. Didn't she stay inside and wouldn't come out when the cops came? That's what was said, Lady in Red. That's exactly what was said, that she didn't want to talk to law enforcement. I guess Grandma did. But yeah, Candace didn't want to talk to law enforcement. Of course, Don's first thought, his first thought, was it was some sicko hillbilly druggie had drug her out into the woods. That's kind of disgusting to me, y'all. I'm curious about what happened the day before and who were all on the hill the day before Summer was missing. Yeah, AC, because they talk about was it the night before an alleged party went on and there was quite a few people on the hill. Yeah, Anastasia. Unfortunately, a lot of creators have taken some of their content down that they had put out, um, about Summer's case and stuff like that. So, Don say he's seen the layout of the property behind 125. He's been planning for months before she disappeared. Well, as far as Andy Bernard's concerned, we know for a fact that he sold them weed. He admitted to that. That's about all he's admitted to. Fred said Andy and another vehicle with a woman in it was going back to the back of the hauler. He said he sat there and waited for them to come out, and they didn't come out. Well, Brenda, I'm sure they delete. No, no, Brenda. What we're saying about the phones is law enforcement took it, and what they're saying law enforcement did was deleted that time frame so Dawn and Candace couldn't go back and get their stories together about it. We just don't know. I mean, we know for a fact that that's what we heard. Because honestly, and Justin, have you heard Candace say that law enforcement said she left the hill twice? Have you heard that come out of her mouth? Because I know a creator talked about taking Candace to law enforcement for something. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that Candace got back in the vehicle saying that they had said she had left the hill twice and she was not happy about it. But I just can't remember if that actually came out of Candace's mouth off the top of my head. So the first person in his mind was a sicko hillbilly druggie that drug her out in the woods. Someone put her in a car and took her not far away. Why would you? Okay, so he says that about the sicko hillbilly druggie, and then in the same breath says someone put her in a car and took her not far away. Then he wonders if it's a high-end thing because of Candace putting pics and videos out on Facebook and TikTok. Of course, he brings Dudley into the story, saying that he had seen people on meth before. This was something different. Then he starts talking about Dudley. I am not going to repeat everything that Don says about Dudley. I can't do it. I ain't going to do it. What I will say is these are two individuals who were basically trying to one up each other, that they were better than each other. For sure. Didn't a tree trimmer say he saw Dawn carry Summer out to the car as she was sleeping? I heard something about that. I said that from the very beginning. When you look at the time frame, Dawn the time that, and Don doesn't know exactly what time he left for work, but I always wondered. Candace said she was at the hospital at 8. That would have put Don there at the house, in my opinion, before Candace left. So why wouldn't he have carried Summer out to the car? That I said that, but I don't remember hearing a tree trimmer said that. I know that they said that they seen her in the vehicle with Candace, but that's what I heard. And but honestly, the story changes, so much. Well, I know that girl. The bad thing about that is anytime somebody says that the boy said this or the boy said that, we do not know anything that those boys have said at all. We really don't. Okay. Let me get past the Dudley talk. Don was talking about the private investigators who, at the time when he was talking to Chris McDonough, he didn't even know their name. He said they were finding out a lot of info on Dudley, turning it in to the TBI, saying a lot of people talk a big talk, but only out for their own agenda. Called his PIs Michelle and friends. Said he didn't know what law enforcement or the TBI was doing. This is just my opinion, too. I don't think they cared what information that law enforcement and TBI had. I don't think they cared. Oh, yeah, I've never heard that lady in red. My question also is why so many out of states in the holler if Dobbs already purchased the property? I don't know if there was other property, possibly. A lot of that we've got to go with what Jody Sue said. Okay, he went to work like a normal day because everything him and Candace talk about now, we know it's got to be normal, right? At some point, I believe she was at Walgreens and asked, "What are you doing?" And I guess she said something about taking them out to the lake or something. So I said, "Heck, I might as well stay late at work. No point in going home." They were just out there. Uh, they were just out there doing their thing. Might as well stay late and do what I can. But the boys were home. So did he not care if the boys were home? And we got to remember David Dotson saying Candace showed a picture to law enforcement of all the kids swimming that day. So none of that makes any sense. Said he took the Subaru that day because it was just sitting there. He was making a $600 a month payment and paying insurance on it. So why not drive it? Couldn't give the exact time he arrived at work, having stopped for breakfast somewhere, and don't remember for sure what time he got to work. What I found interesting is when PG talked about Dawn leaving work around 10 to 11 o'clock to go get breakfast, right? He worked all day and at some point called Candace. He believes around 3. We also know that Dawn would usually leave work 3:30ish, right? Thinking she might have been at Walgreens, asking her what she was doing. She said something about taking them out to the lake. Okay, I've already read this. I apologize. I apologize, you guys. I kind of repeated myself there. Said Candace called him frantic and panicking, and he said, just hang up and call 911. Again, thinking it was 5:30. Something is important about 5:30. Because why would he continuously think that it was 5:30? Hey, innocent until proven guilty. Hang on, Danny. I gotta close out something. Merely notes that Don got back to work at 3:30. Candace got home around the same time. He says he doesn't trust law enforcement and showed all digital evidence upon arrival. Ronnie Lawson stated at one time that they had all digital evidence. And there was also a camera on the corner of one of the neighbors' homes, right? Law enforcement knows a lot more than what they're ever going to tell anybody on YouTube or social media. They know a lot more than what they're ever going to say. Okay. He talked about making it home from Jonesboro, which is a 45-minute drive, in 30 minutes. He said he was on Messenger with Candace while she was driving around in her mother's truck, a Chevy Silverado, looking for Summer in the area, and was surprised that they stayed connected the whole way. Dawn, you were surprised that you stayed connected to Candace and talked to her the whole way, but yet, when you knew Candace didn't contact you back to tell you she had found Summer, that Summer was gone. Somebody had taken her. Danny, the scream was actually allegedly heard between 4:30 and 4:42. I believe that's what my notes say. There's nothing about at 2:30. I'd have to pull out my timeline. Jody might have heard a noise around that time. There was a time on the timeline that she said she heard a noise, but that wasn't the scream. That was something totally different. Dawn said, I'm not sure what Candace's mom was doing. Guesses she was talking to police and just standing there looking. And I've said this before. These people were on top of that hill. Summer, Summer. But they say Summer was abducted. If you think somebody came up there and took your child, why would you send the 3 boys down to the bottom of that hill? Well, it's said that Candace seen Jody at 4:30. Jody seen Candace at 4:30. Someone seen Candace walking down Fred Hill's driveway around that time. Then you got Candace who says that she didn't hear a scream because she was looking for Summer between 4:30 and 4:42. Yeah, Andy doesn't remember a lot of things. The boys were looking for Summer, but says the police weren't there when he got home. He said he was the first one there. Police bottlenecked the roads. No one could move, which set in panic and confusion. Cops in and out of the property. With no law enforcement at the scene when Don pulled up, he was the first one there? Really? He talks about his first impression being to go to the bottom of the hill, to the shed, not going to the house first, going towards the creek, seeing his neighbors, Don on one side and the boys on the other side. What about Jody in the creek? His heart sank. He knew someone had taken her. He assumed they were looking all over the house and assumed they hadn't gotten to the bottom of the property. So he would drive down there first. $6:09, Danny. She didn't actually see Candace. She heard her screaming for Summer and says that the way that Candace was screaming for Summer, she knew something was up. You're right. She didn't tell Andy anything. Don't make no sense, does it? He doesn't remember. Then he went to the top, went to the house. Can't be sure when he went to the shed, then or later. Don, you did a video where you went to the shed. You did a video where you went to the shed. And then he said, oh, I don't know. I can't remember if I looked in the shed or not. I don't know why she told Prayer Garden that she's seen Jody Sue at 4:30. Don't know. Once police came, he wanted to go question all these damn drug dealers, and they reluctantly said for him to go ahead. Do you guys believe that? Do you believe in the midst of looking for Summer that they didn't want to talk to Dawn? They said, you go ahead and you go question these people that we do not know if they have any information about your daughter or not. We don't need to do that, Dawn. Why don't you go do it for us? I never felt that statement to be a true statement at all. The thing about it is, we don't know if that's true that she was in Fred's driveway. All we know is Fred said one of his good buddies said Candace was in your driveway. And then after 2.5 years, then we hear, oh, well, there was a backpack in my driveway. EquiSearch found it. And there was clothes and an old washer on the property. Right? Make that make sense. So they told him, go ahead. He said law enforcement should put pressure on them, get a list of everyone they know. And if it was him, he would lock them up and start asking questions. But Don, from what we hear, you were locked up and you wasn't answering questions. That's what Mr. Lawson said. I don't believe that's the first thing he did, Lady in Red. And a lot of people think that Candace went over there, that it had something to do with substances. All right, let me find where I was. Dawn talked about a person in the Beach Creek area that individuals would go back there looking for pills or meth, whatever they were looking for. A lot of traffic on Ben Hill, even seeing cars running off of 2 cylinders, using everything they got to get up the hill to get the substances they were looking for or whatever. They also got people getting caught parking in their driveway doing drugs in the morning or the PM continuously. Then he said that it was like people didn't keep track of time there. Ben Hill's a drug corridor, and people go there to cop dope and also other places where all these drug places intermingle. I thought, Liplock, I thought maybe Candace, because I've talked about this before. When someone is manufacturing meth, um, what they can cut it with is anti-inflammatories. And if Candace had a prescription anti-inflammatory, I would think she would have got some money off that. Benny says he pretty sure that it was narcotics because he's seen a prescription setting on the table. Oh, Danny, if you believe that, I don't know. If you believe what any of them say, I don't know what to tell you. All right. I'm gonna stop it right here, you guys. I'll drop the link if anybody wants to come up and talk about whatever. I'm still gonna do live on Fred Hill. I just got to the point where I wasn't even sure what I even wanted to say about the guy anymore. You know, the guy is just. Take what into consideration? What am I taking into consideration, Danny? I guess I'm kind of lost. I got lost in the chat there for a minute. I try to keep up with chat, but I'm totally lost in my own chat. Something about Fred? There's a lot of things about Fred. And his girlfriend Laura. And all of his friends. But why would they? And Fred said Don would sit at the end of his driveway when he was messed up. And he would sit at the end of the driveway and stay there until what is this?
Well, hello, darlings. It's Miss Tia.
Okay.
Now, Miss Tia wants to talk
Hang
to
on.
y'all about something today
I gotta
that's
get
pretty
all that.
serious to me.
What are you guys talking about? Well, of course it's going to be shipped in. They're going to bring it in from all different kinds of places. Yeah, I seen that too, Justin. Thank you, Eve. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to watch that. Why not? Why not? Fair use.
Hello, darlings. It's Miss Tia. Now, Miss Tia wants to talk to y'all about something today that's pretty serious to me. Something that's been on my mind ever since I watched Daisy just a few days ago on her channel. I believe it's Crime Crazy Critters on the Farm. I just call it that farm over there. But Daisy had Don Wells on her panel. Don, the father of missing Summer Moon Utah Wells. And she said that Don wanted to come on and tell his story. Well, now, darlings, most of us would think that when the parent of a missing child wants to come on a social media platform and tell their side of the story, that that's going to be about that missing child. I mean, that's what I would think. But oh no. This side of Don's story that he wanted to tell was regarding the ongoing feud that he has with his stepsisters. Drama. Complete drama. Now, I don't know how many of you darlings remember, but at the beginning of Summer's case, one of Dawn's stepsisters did come out, and she made an allegation against Dawn regarding SA that she said he did to her. And I believe he admitted he did it. But she said she was 5 years old, and that was the age Summer was when she went missing. So this sister was concerned that maybe that could have had something to do with Summer missing as well, like the same type of behavior. Now, Miss Tia will stand behind the victim any day, all day, every day. But I will say that in this case, I think that information should have went straight to law enforcement and not brought to YouTube for content. Because what has happened now is there's this ongoing feud happening on these YouTube streets with the family of a missing child. So when Don says he wants to tell his side of the story on Miss Daisy's channel, he's not talking about his daughter. He's not talking about Summer. He's talking about this ongoing feud with his stepsisters and who said what and who's lying about this. And he got into talking about some disgusting, gross things. Some things that I will not repeat on my channel. Miss T is not going to, I'm not going to go that low. However, I will tell you a few things. He went into saying that, well, so-and-so, the brother or the boyfriend of his stepsister, who's now was her husband, who's now her ex, he caught him doing something to his sister. He walked in on it. And then he went on talking about some other things that this one did and that one did. Just gross family drama. Okay? And at one point, he even had the nerve to say something about Nana from Nana's Angels that this community lost just a few short weeks ago, and many are still grieving that loss. And he had something vile to say about her. Disgusting and gross. Now, the whole time, Miss Daisy just sat over there and she just coddled Don. She just, went along with everything he was saying. And when he said that stuff about Nana, she didn't stop it.
She didn't stop anything.
If that had been my channel, oh, Lord have mercy. I would have stopped right then and there. I would have told him what I thought, and that would have been the end of that live stream with him on it. But no, Miss Daisy gonna keep Don talking just as long as she can keep him talking. Why? She don't seem to care if he's talking about Summer. She just wants him talking because she knows if she can put up on her little thumbnail the picture of Summer and say she's going to have the parents of Summer Wells on her channel, that people going to come watch. That's why she does it. And, I got to thinking, I hear Miss Daisy talking about money a lot.
Ah.
And so that's what Miss Tia thinks is her motive. Her
Me
motive
too,
is money.
Tia.
Because she's always, drop her membership link and the Cash App and the super sticker. And then she was even talking about Prayer Garden, how Prayer Garden had made a lot of money on a live stream and Miss Daisy didn't think that was right. Why does she care what Prayer Garden made? That ain't her business. I think she was jealous because she ain't making that kind of money. Well, that ought to tell you something, Daisy. That ought to tell you something right there. Maybe what you're thinking you're doing ain't working so good for you. And I can tell you this last one that you did and the disgusting things you allowed on your channel, that shouldn't be working for nobody. Because that was not okay. That was gross. You all are hurting Summer's case by bringing all this family drama crap, disgusting things into it, and not putting that baby front and center where she belongs. She's not an afterthought that you just name drop every now and then. Enough of this mess. Knock it off. Darlings, Miss Tia, I'm pretty upset about that. And I thought about not saying nothing, but I think y'all know Miss Tia by now. I can't keep my mouth shut. It gets me in trouble sometimes.
Me too, Tia. Me too, sister. Okay, well, I hope you guys liked some of my writing that I went over today. I do have a live out, I believe. I don't exactly remember the name, but it's all about math, amphetamine. You guys go over and watch it if you want to. Maybe I'll do another live on that. I'm not sure what you guys were actually wanting to talk about. I kind of got lost in my own chat. It threw my mojo off. So it don't cost a dime to be kind. If you got to get a little feisty, you guys go right ahead and do it. I will see you again real soon. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for getting me to 700 subs. Very, very happy and excited about that. Never thought that I would ever get there for sure. Um, Good, Eve. Good for you. Got a new tablet that came today. So cool. So cool. All right. Well, I think we had some good discussion today. I appreciate everybody's input on it. Like I said, I was going to do, a live and talk about Fred Hill. Um, Fred is Fred. I'll get to it eventually. Um, Thank you, Fried Green Tomatoes. I'm at 246. I'm going to break my rule. Y'all know I usually have OCD and hang out for an extra 10 minutes, but I think I will live if I go ahead and close it out. Thank you, Liplock. Liplock, will you drop your email again, Liplock? I'm sorry. Or no, I can have somebody do it behind the scenes. Thank you, Canadian Cookie. Yeah, thank you everybody who's new, who came into chat. I appreciate you guys so much. And I always say this, you guys are what's important to me as a creator, if you want to call me a creator. Um, I just never expected for people to come and hang out with me like you guys have, and being so respectful to each other in chat. That means more to me than anything. And I want you guys to know that for sure. Thank you, Lady in Red. Thank you, Liplock. Wee Scottish Mom. And I hate that I cannot go through and name you all off one by one, but I do try to notice you guys when you come into chat, and always try to hang in there with you, and different things like that for sure. Lucy Cat, I'm gonna call you because I don't think you're feeling very well for some reason. It is an awesome chat, isn't it, Liplock? And I watch a lot of the channels, you guys. I watch Justin. I watch Liplock. There's a few people that I definitely watch, and I kind of stay in the bushes a lot. I don't go into a lot of chats. I think I popped into Justin's once or twice, and I definitely pop into Liplocks. Um, I don't know. I kind of get really hesitant about popping into some chats. They don't like what I say a lot. And a lot of times, you guys, you can sit there and be typing away and typing your comments or giving your opinion, and it ain't going nowhere because you're blocked. And you don't even know you're blocked half the time. Finally, you figure it out and you're like, is anybody even seeing me? Crazy. Yeah, I'm like that too, Liplock. I lurk around in chat. And I like to listen. I like to watch what actually what people are saying in chat. It's very interesting, people's opinions and things like that go on, go on in the chat rooms. The lab. I watch Josh every once in a while. You hate what? I love you to the moon and back, Eve. Yeah, me too. I want to see what's up too. Thank you, Ask, for being here today. Lucy Cat. Girl. Yeah, I think we all do. And this isn't the type of channels, you guys. This is not the type of channel where I tell people not to watch a certain person. I'm not into that. We're all grown adults. You guys watch whoever you want to watch. You guys have your own opinions, your own theories. You will never get pegged here for disagreeing with me. Not at all. I want people to have their own minds. I want people to take the information, that I have from my transcriptions and really, really think about things. And I think something that stuck out in my head that I talked about was, if Summer went down in the dungeon and that door was shut, how would someone know that she was in there? How would anybody have came up on that hill and took that baby without nobody seeing anything? It's time for Dawn and Candace to quit playing the game. In my opinion, it's about the money. It's about the money. And when Don went to jail, do you guys think that people weren't sending him money? I could almost bet they were. Look at the money that Fred Hill's getting. The guy's in jail. He's a criminal. And just because people think that he has something in his mind about Summer, people are paying his way. There are a lot of kind people on YouTube, especially Summer's case, people following Summer's case. And Don Wells especially knows that women who have children are gonna what? Gonna feel sorry for Summer's dad. Gonna feel sorry for Dawn and Candace. They're gonna make sure that these people have money. Neither one of them, Dawn works. Dawn works. But if you think Candace is ever gonna try to find a job, even now that she has no kids to take care of, I'm sorry, but it ain't gonna happen. Because she can lay around and she can boo-hoo cry about her fucking ankle, okay? It went from having her teeth pulled to her heart, then strokes, now her fucking ankle. And people are handing her money. I was astounded that within a matter of minutes, She had $300 or more to leave Arkansas and go back to 110 Ben Hill Road. And guess what? She did go back, but she didn't go back right away. She didn't go back right away. That was a problem for people. People got mad about that. They were like, you were going back to Ben Hill. We gave you all that money, and your ass is still sitting in the hotel room. What's up with that? That little live that she did on her channel, Boo the fucking Hooin'. Okay, that's what she was doing, Boo the fucking Hooin'. In my opinion, had nothing to do with her crying and I miss my boys, I miss summer. No, Candace. People were pissed off at you because they felt like you fucking got that money and you wasn't going to do what you said. And once you realized that you had pissed some people off, guess what? You freaked the fuck out. You thought your money ticket was going bye-bye, didn't you? She had to take care of Don's daughter, who miraculous. Well, I don't know. I don't know if his daughter, miraculously healed. She, had an infection in her bones. I'm sure that was pretty nasty, and I have sympathy for that. I know my daughter was on antibiotics at home. She didn't go to the hospital every time. We had to do them there at home. And it was very trying, but it was weird to me. Her daughter was talking about, okay, well, I'm going to fix dinner and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it probably was chump change to her. You're absolutely right. All right, y'all. I am off of here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for 700 subs. And when I say that I cried, I cried. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Me and Pete. Pete, thanks you guys too. Thank you for hanging out at my low budget channel with getting gift cards, cash up, things dropped off at the bottom of the hill. Oh man, they were bringing in some dough. They was bringing in a lot of money, you guys. And guess what? Now they want to act like they care because they want the boys back. Them boys was not important to them. I don't care who they say. I don't care. I don't care what they say. The boys wasn't on their mind. Getting drunk and stoned and acting like freaking idiots. That's what was important to them. Thank you, Lisa A. Pete is Pete. I'll have to explain Pete. I'll explain Pete another time. The girls go wild over Pete. He just hangs out. He's an airhead. Pete's an airhead. Thank you, fried green tomatoes. Okay, 1 minute left. As I said, it don't cost a dime to be kind. If you gotta get a little feisty, you guys go right ahead and do it. And really, I can't thank you guys enough for hey Sassy Ann, for just hanging out with me and showing me you guys really appreciate what I'm doing. And I know I don't put Summer in my contents. I don't put her in my titles. And there's a reason for that. And you guys know the reason for that. So, Teresa, Pete is some kind of special sexy. Oh, Lord. Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate you. All right, I got to get out of here. I'm done. I can't see anyway. I got to take my glasses off. 4 more likes to be a perfect score. Really? You guys did that? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. All right, I got to go. All right. See you guys next time.